So the season for teams in non-league is now almost completely finished. Following this will be the playoffs, but in the National League North and National League South, there is just one more league fixture remaining, and we're going to be looking into it in this video, looking at the promotion battles, the playoff battles, and the relegation scraps. Let's get into it. So before we start, this video is sponsored by OneFootball, which is ideal for staying up to date with all of the latest scores on the final day of the season. Heading into the playoffs, it can be useful to stay up to date with all of the latest form of these other teams that your team could potentially be facing. Seeing their recent results could help you work out whether you're likely to win the game. Obviously, in the playoffs, anything can happen. It is a complete lottery, but it is still important to know about all the different teams around you. Also, heading into the last day of the season, there could be a number of different games that your game is dependent upon. So if you're trying to get into the playoffs and you're relying on the teams to lose, you could have live score updates using the OneFootball app, which will help you stay up to date with those scores as soon as those goals go in. On the Google Play Store, OneFootball has got a rating of 4.7 out of 5, with over 1 million people rating it, so it is a very highly rated app and a very popular one, and I would recommend it. I use it all the time, so if you want to download this app, then the link to download it will be in the top line of the description. But anyway, starting off in the National League, and up at the top there are 3 teams who are fighting for the title. They're Leyton Orient, Salford City and Solihull Moors. So Leyton Orient are currently top of the table on 88 points. Salford and Solihull are on 85, meaning that Leyton Orient need 1 point to guarantee the title. So the weekend just gone was a really important one at the top of the table. Leyton Orient played Solihull Moors away from home. That ended in a 0-0 draw. So if Solihull would have won that, then both teams would have been on 87 points, meaning that if Salford had won their game, they were playing at home to AFC Fylde, and they actually lost that 1-0, they would have gone top of the league going into their final day. So those 2 results had a huge impact on this end of season battle, and it looks like Leyton Orient could be the one that win the league. Now their stadium, the Braille Group Stadium, has been sold out for this final game. They face Braintree Town, who are down in the relegation zone but have actually won 4 out of their last 5 games. So they've got nothing to play for, the pressure is totally off them, and they're coming into this game in front of a huge crowd at Leyton Orient trying to cause a big shock. So it won't be easy for Leyton Orient, but they are in that driving seat. Salford and Solihull both face tricky away fixtures. Salford travel to Hartlepool and Solihull Moors travel to Dagenham and Redbridge, both needing a win. Most crucially for Leyton Orient, they actually have the highest goal difference out of those 3 teams. They've got plus 38, Salford plus 33 and Solihull are plus 30. So while it is not impossible for these goal differences to be closed down, it's still going to be very difficult for the 2 chasing teams to overtake Leyton Orient, even if Leyton Orient lose. But as Salford have scored more goals than Leyton Orient, if Leyton Orient were to lose 2-0 and Salford were to win 3-0, then Salford will win the league. For me, the craziest bit is seeing that these 3 teams are the 3 teams competing at the top of the National League this season. Compare this to this time 5 years ago. Leyton Orient were fighting up at the top of League One. They'd finished 3rd in the table and were heading for a playoff final at Wembley, where they lost on penalties to Rotherham United. So they were on the brink of the Championship, whereas Solihull, they were in the National League North, finishing mid-table, and Salford City actually finished 12th in the Northern Premier League Division 1 North, which is the 8th tier. So that's 5 leagues below what Leyton Orient were playing in. That's a crazy contrast, and it just shows the different trajectories that these 3 teams have had in the last 5 years. While the title race in the National League is still on, there are currently no teams outside of the playoffs, below the playoffs, that could get into them. So the teams that will be in the playoffs will be 2 of Leyton Orient, Salford and Solihull. Also in there will be Wrexham, Fylde, Harrogate and Eastleigh. 8th placed Ebbsfleet currently sits 6 points behind 7th placed Eastleigh, so they're not able to break into that playoff picture at this late stage. And just like nobody is able to fight their way into the playoffs at this late stage, there is no team able to survive relegation. All 4 teams in the relegation zone have been confirmed relegated now for a few weeks. Aldershot, Havant and Waterlooville, Maidstone United and Braintree Town are all relegated down to most likely the National League South, although Braintree could actually go into the National League North because of the 4 teams that are going down all being southern based. it's going to create a bit of an imbalance in terms of North and South teams going into the 6th tier next season. So Braintree could be in the North, and I've done a video about this up in the top corner. Click on that and you'll go and see that video. Similarly to the National League North and South both have their final fixtures of the season taking place on this weekend, Saturday the 27th of April. Up at the top of the National League North, it is very exciting. Stockport County and Chorley have been neck and neck for a number of months now at the top of the table. Both teams have spent time at the top, and right now Stockport are currently top, and it's happened in pretty dramatic fashion. So go back to last Friday the 19th of April, at the top of the league at that point were Stockport, but on Saturday Stockport actually faced Chorley at Chorley's Victory Park. Chorley won that 2-0 to put themselves back to the top of the table. They were 2 points clear with 2 games to go. You think this at this point is in Chorley's hands, and that's decided the title, but unbelievably on Monday Stockport faced Curzon Ashton at home. They won that 2-0, but crucially Chorley travelled to Spennymoor, and Spennymoor got a 94th minute winner through Glenn Taylor to win that 1-0, meaning that they lost the game. Stockport win and go ahead of Chorley by 1 point going into the final game of the season. Stockport travel to Nuneaton Borough, who are bottom of the table and have lost 14 of their last 15 games. And Stockport, if they get the victory, will win the league and finally get back up to the National League. They had 6,000 people in attendance on Monday against Curzon Ashton, which is an unbelievable attendance for 6th tier football. Obviously Chorley could still win the league. They have a tricky home match against Bradford Park Avenue. Bradford Park Avenue are fighting to stay in the playoffs. They were in the playoffs, but they're actually starting to slip out of that picture and currently remain in the playoffs just on goal difference. So Brackley, Spennymoor and Altrincham are confirmed in the playoffs. Blythe have won 6 games in a row to come from nowhere and are now sitting in 6th position on 66 points. Bradford Park Avenue, as I mentioned, are slipping out of the playoffs. They are in 7th place after a loss on Monday at home to York City. They stay ahead of Telford, who are in 8th place. They have the same amount of points and are just 1 extra goal in goal difference ahead of them. It is so tight going into the last day. Obviously Blythe still need to get a result to confirm they'll stay in the playoffs, and they face a home match against 13th place Southport on the final day. Telford face 12th placed York City away from home, so that's a tricky game for them. So it'll certainly be interesting to see who ends up in the playoffs. So we look down to the relegation zone, and that is actually also confirmed. The 3 teams going down, as I mentioned, will be Nuneaton and also FC United of Manchester and Ashton United. These relegation places were confirmed over the bank holiday weekend. Guiseley getting a 1-0 victory over Darlington on Bank Holiday Monday to confirm that they will stay in the National League North next season. So the National League South is the only one out of these 3 leagues that has got a confirmed champion before the last day of the season this campaign. Torquay United are going to win the National League South. They've been neck and neck with Woking for a number of months now, but Torquay have just pulled ahead at the crucial moment and have now won the league. This means that they move back up to the National League after just 1 season down in the National League South, so it's a really good immediate response from them. Woking, Welling United, Chelmsford City and Bath City are all confirmed to be in the playoffs, which leaves 2 other playoff spots up for grabs. Now in 6th place, Concord Rangers have actually celebrated getting into the playoffs because it is pretty unlikely that they will drop out at this stage. They're currently sitting on 67 points, which is 3 points ahead of 8th place St Albans City, and their goal difference is plus 13 ahead of St Albans. So that means basically that Concord need to lose 7-0 on the final day. St Albans need to win 7-0 for Concord to slip out of the playoffs. So it's pretty much not going to happen. This means that realistically, there is only 1 place in the playoffs up for grabs. Currently sitting in 7th is Billericay Town, who are on 65 points. They're at home to 5th place Bath City on the final day, and that pressure will only be increased with the number of teams that are chasing down the playoffs. So in 8th place, as I did mention, St Albans City, they are facing Torquay United. As I did hint at, St Albans are on 64 points. That's 1 behind Billericay Town. Also on 64 points are Dartford, who travel to face 13th placed Oxford City. 10th place Wealdstone are actually also able to still qualify for the playoffs. They're on 63 points and they face 16th placed Hemel Hempstead. And incredibly, with just 1 game left, 11th placed Slough Town are actually still able to get into the playoffs as well. They they travel to face 20th place Truro City. So that'll be a difficult game because Truro are scrapping to try and get out of that relegation zone. But if Slough can get a result there and 4 other results go their way, then they'll be in the playoffs. And that's a pretty incredible situation, that a team that is in 11th place with 1 game to go, that's literally midway in the table. That is the definition of mid-table, with 22 teams in the league. The team that is in the middle of the table to potentially get into the playoffs with 1 game to go, that could potentially go and win those playoffs and get promoted, that does seem a little bit strange to me. Down towards the relegation zone, in the bottom 2 clubs have been confirmed to be relegated already. They are Weston-super-Mare and East Thurrock United. However, there is 1 relegation place that still remains open, and that is going to be fought for between Truro City and Hungerford Town. Currently in that place is Truro. They're 3 points behind Hungerford, but with a superior goal difference. So if Truro can win against Slough Town and Hungerford lose, Hungerford are facing East Thurrock. So if Hungerford lose that and Truro win, then Truro stay up. That's pretty much it for the roundup going into the last game of the season. Do you want to see more videos like this going into next season? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button and click subscribe. Trying to get to 15,000 subscribers by the end of the season. End of the season is very, very close now, so if you can help me try and get to that goal, that'd be absolutely awesome. We are really not very far away as well, so it'd be nice to try and get to that goal. So yeah, if you'd help me out, that would mean a lot. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.